Ava. I'm only 6 years old, and this is my first time reading Itty Bitty Princess Kitty, The Cloud Race. News at Mermaid Cove. Itty Bitty Princess Kitty, Luna Unicorn, Esme Butterfly, and Cheaper Bunny were hanging out at one of their favorite spots in Lollyland, Mermaid Cove. I hope we see a mermaid today, Itty said. I love hearing them sing. Me too, Esme agreed. That's why this is the best place in Lollyland. What about Goody Groove? Cheaper asked. Goody Groove was a hop, skip, and a jump from Mermaid Cove, and it was the place to go for delicious treats. I don't think I could pick one favorite place, Itty said. What about you, Luna? Itty looked thoughtful. Maybe it's someplace we haven't been yet, like Hot Chocolate Springs. My sister Stella went there with her class last week. A little bit of glitter sprouted from Luna's horn, which always happened when she was excited. I wish we could go. Itty, since your dad is king of Lollyland, you can ask him to change the rule that says you have to be 10 years old to visit the springs, Cheaper asked. I've tried, Itty sighed, but he said the rule is there for a reason. Something about being big enough to float on the marshmallows.
Hold on, is that a picture of a marshmallow?
Yeah.
Oh boy. And that looks like some whipped cream on the bottom too.
Suddenly there was a ripple in the water. Itty and her friends forgot all about Hot Chocolate Springs as a shimmering mermaid emerged and began to sing. You may not be old enough for Hot Chocolate Springs, but you are old enough for some wonderful things. It's almost time for the Lollyland Cloud Race, an event so fun it will bring a smile to your face. Itty and her friends applauded as the mermaid dove back under the water. The Cloud Race? Itty had totally forgotten about the annual event. Do you know what this means? She asked her friends. That we're finally old enough to enter the Cloud Race. Luna cheered. And our announcement fairy should be arriving soon. Never annoy an announcement fairy. Chapter 2. There were many types of fairies in Lollyland, and they all had very important jobs. Sugar fairies collected syrup from the river. Construction fairies built houses, and announcement fairies made special announcements, to name just a few. I wonder when all our announcement fairies will come, Luna said as the friends walked home. I see one, Esme whispered.
That announcement fairy has a trumpet in her hand.
Mm-hmm. Fairies could be a little bit fussy, and announcement fairies especially disliked shouting. They also didn't like delivering messages in front of a crowd. The fairy fluttered around, finally landing on a branch near Cheaper, with her back to the girls. She faced Cheaper and blew into her miniature trumpet. Itty tried to listen to the announcement, but she only caught the end of it when the fairy asked
Chipper
what his answer was. I'm in, Cheaper yelled. There's no need to shout, the fairy stomped her feet and flew away. Itty and her friends waited until the fairy was far enough away before bursting into excited giggles. Then they could each be alone when their fairy.
Then they decided
to go home
separately.
separately so they could each be alone when their fairy arrived. Itty was in a field near the palace when her fairy landed on a tall flower. She took out her trumpet and began to blow into it. "I know why you're here," Itty exclaimed. Then she clapped her hand over her mouth. The fairy was scowling, clearly not happy that Itty had ruined her announcement.
Uh-oh.
"Sorry," Itty cried. "I'm just so excited about the race, and I definitely want to enter." "Fine," the fairy squeaked before flying off in a huff. Itty breathed a sigh of relief. "Princess Itty, the cloud race can be dangerous." Itty looked around to see who was speaking. It was a flower. The flowers of Lollyland didn't speak often, but when they did, it was wise to listen. "Dangerous?" Itty repeated. Uh-oh. Had she missed some sort of warning when she interrupted the fairy? Chapter 3. The Queen's Advice. Itty ran inside to find her parents. She had to learn more about the cloud race. "Mom, Dad, guess what?" Itty shouted as she ran through the entrance hall. "Darling, don't run indoors," Itty's mom reminded her, "and please don't shout. An announcement fairy just left, and you know how they just like shouting." "An announcement fairy was here?" Itty asked. "Yes, she came to tell us that the invitations for the cloud race had all been delivered," the king replied. His eyes twinkled as he smiled at Itty. "We understand you've already accepted yours." "About that," Itty began, "I kind of interrupted the fairy. Oopsies. And she got mad. I wouldn't finish her announcement. So I accepted without hearing everything." Itty paused and looked at her parents' faces. They were still smiling, which meant they weren't upset yet. "But then a flower told me that races can be dangerous. Is that true?" "Well, they can be," the Queen said, placing a hand on Itty's shoulder. "But there's nothing to worry about. All of the racers now participate in a week of training to learn how to safely steer their clouds."
Phew!
"Phew!" Itty exclaimed. "So the race is totally safe?" "Well, yes," the king scratched his chin. "As long as you follow the rules."
Mm-hmm.
What
As
does
long
that
as you
mean?
follow the rules.
"What does that mean?" Itty asked. "It means you probably don't want to hear about the year your mom veered off course and landed in the syrup river." Itty's dad replied, chuckling at the memory. Well, at least I didn't collide with a sloth," the Queen replied. "Or was it two sloths?" Veering off course?
Collisions
with sloths? What had Itty gotten herself into? Noticing her worried expression, Itty's mom squeaked her shoulder. "Just pay attention during your lessons, and you'll be fine." Sorry guys, I need to look at this picture. Chapter 4. The Rules of Racing. After school the next day, Itty and her friends headed to a special meeting for all the racers at Cloud Park. A circle of log seats was set up next to the rows of parked clouds. Itty, Luna, Esme, and Cheaper found seats as a dapper peacock walked into the center of the circle. He gave a loud whistle and everyone quieted down. "Fine listening skills," he said as he strutted around the circle. Those will come in handy during your lessons. But first, I'm Mr. Feathers, Grand Master of the Cloud Race. Mr. Feathers paused dramatically. Itty looked around, unsure of what to do. Luna started clapping, so Itty did too. Soon everyone was clapping. Mr. Feathers smiled, bowed, and continued talking. Just then, a fox took a seat next to Itty. She recognized him as being in Stella's class. His name was Willie. What did I miss? Willie asked. Itty didn't respond since Mr. Feathers was talking. I said, what did I miss? Willie repeated in a louder voice. There are 3 very important rules you must remember, Mr. Feathers was saying. The first rule is to keep your arms, legs, wings, beaks, horns, and so on inside the cloud at all times. The next rule is to always pass on the right. The third and final rule is perhaps the most important one.
Keep your wings inside the cloud. That's wrong. That's right. Pass on the right-hand side. Oh, then he passed on the left-hand side. That was wrong on that one. And in the last picture, passing on the right. Correct. So the last one. What's the last rule?
She scooted forward in her seat to make sure she could hear clearly. You must remember to slow down before going around a curve. Otherwise, you risk getting thrown off your cloud. We don't want that, do we? No, Itty murmured, along with the other animals. Rules, schmools, Itty heard Willie say to the porcupine next to him. I don't need any rules, he continued. And you know what else I don't need? Driving lessons. He and the porcupine high-fived. Chapter 5. Itty in the driver's seat. Unlike Willie Fox, Itty was glad to have driving lessons. She had ridden on clouds many times, but riding was different than driving. Itty was both nervous and excited. On the first day of lessons, the racers learned how to get into the driver's seat. Itty was used to sitting in back as a passenger, but drivers had to sit up front. It was a little scary at first, but Itty got used to it and discovered she loved being in control of her cloud. The next day, the racers learned steering. Clouds didn't have steering wheels, so you patted the cloud on the same side as the direction you wanted to move. Itty learned that she was really good at this. Mr. Feathers even complimented her gentle patting style. On the third day, the students learned how to make the clouds go faster by tapping their right foot, or slower by tapping their left foot. This was the thing that made Itty the most nervous. She didn't want to accidentally go too fast and get thrown from her cloud. But after lots of practice, she found it was pretty easy to use the correct foot to speed up or slow down. Mr. Feathers repeated the rule about always remembering to slow down around curves. Finally, after several days of lessons, it was time for the trial races. The animals were
Divided.
into smaller groups. Itty was in the blue group, Luna and Cheaper were in the orange group, and Esme was in the red group. Itty recognized a few kids from school in her group, including Wiley Fox. Itty climbed onto her cloud and settled into the driver's seat. She had just started moving when Willie zipped past her. As Itty carefully made her way around the track, Willie passed her again. But Itty kept going slow and steady. After all, today was about practicing, not winning. Itty had plenty of time to worry about that later after she was an expert driver. Chapter 6, Rules Are Rules. By the final day of practice, Itty felt good about her driving skills. She hadn't won any of the blue group's practice races, but she'd finished second twice. Itty joined the other racers and as Mr. Feathers struggled to the center of the circle. The kids immediately began to clap. They had figured out by now that Mr. Feathers loved applause. "My dear students," Mr. Feathers smiled and bowed, "congratulations on completing your training. Now you have 3 days to practice on your own before the official race. Just remember the rules as you're practicing, and we'll all have a safe and exciting race. I'll see you on the big day." As the animals left the circle, Itty said goodbye to her new friends from the blue group. She was looking for Luna, Esme, and Cheaper when she heard Willie's voice. She couldn't see who he was talking to, but she could hear what he was saying. It was something about adding boosters to his cloud to make it go faster during the race. Itty turned around. Whoever Willie had been talking to was gone. Itty knew she had to say something, so she cleared her throat and took a deep breath. "I heard what you said about adding boosters to your cloud. That's not right, Willie," Itty said firmly. "That's cheating." Willie didn't seem to care that Itty had overheard him. "Mr. Feathers never said we could modify our clouds. You race your way and I'll race mine," he told her. Then he walked away. Itty bit her lip. It was true that Mr. Feathers had specifically said they couldn't use boosters, but she was pretty sure it was against the rules. Should she tell Mr. Feathers? Oh, sorry guys, I lost something. Okay. Just then, Esme, Luna, and Chipper came running over. Itty, Luna won all 3 of our practice races today," Cheaper shouted. "Wow, that's so great," Itty cried, laughing and celebrating with her friends on the way home. Itty forgot all about Willie and the cloud boosters. Chapter 7, The Big Day. Sorry guys, I'm not comfortable. I'm on the couch, so yeah. Over the next 3 days, Itty had a great time practicing with her friends. It was easy to see how Luna had won 3 practice races. She was a really good driver. Finally, it was the day of the big race. Itty, Luna, and Chipper and Esme met up at the palace and headed over to Cloud Park together. Luna, I think you have a really good chance of winning the race, Itty said, as me and Chipper agreed. I don't know about that, Luna smiled bashfully. There are a lot of great racers, including all of you. I'm just excited to be in the race, whether I win or not. When they reached Cloud Park, Itty hugged her friends and wished them luck. The racers were introduced to line up at the starting gate with the drivers from their practice groups. Itty spotted the blue group and made her way over to them. As she settled onto her cloud, Itty could feel the excitement in the air. She looked up to the stands. They were really crowded, but Itty was pretty sure she spotted her dad's royal robe and saw her mom waving. 2 clouds over from Itty, she noticed Willie in a shiny yellow racing jacket. She tried to get a better look at his cloud. Were there boosters on it? But she realized she didn't know what boosters looked like, or even where to look for them. There was no way for her to tell if Willie had added them. Just then, Mr. Feathers appeared. He was holding the special green flag that signaled the race was about to begin. Chapter 8. Ready, set, race. On your mark, get set, go! The moment the green flag was raised, Itty and the other racers took off. Several clouds zipped past her, but Itty slowly built up speed as she moved higher and higher to the top track of the course. There were 3 tracks, and racers could choose the level they wanted to fly the course on. Itty liked the top track because it allowed her to see what was happening below her. Plus, the track went all over Lollyland, so it was taking a tour of the kingdom. Itty loved getting a cloud's eye view of Goody Groove, Starfish Falls, and Mermaid Cove. Then she even spotted some places she hadn't yet explored. Itty began to pick up speed, catching up with the cloud in front of her. She took a deep breath and gently patted her cloud on the right side. It worked. Itty's cloud glided safely around the cloud that had been in front of her. On the track below, Itty spotted Luna just ahead of her. It looked like Luna was in the lead. She tried to spot Esme and Chipper, but couldn't find them. In the distance, Itty could see that a sharp curve was coming up, so she started to slow down. Most of the racers around her did the same, but one cloud zipped by her super fast. Itty tried not to let this distract her and focused on maintaining the perfect speed fast enough to stay in the race, but slow enough to take the curve safely. As Itty approached the curve, she heard yelling from the corner of her eye. She could see someone flying through the air and off the track. She recognized the yellow racing jacket and realized it was Willie. He had taken the curve too fast and gotten thrown off course. Chapter 9. a helping hand or paw. As she went around the curve, Itty could see Willy off to her right. He and his cloud were tangled up in the branches of a tree. Itty kept going, having picked up momentum after the curve. She was sure someone would go help Wally. But what if no one did? What if no one else had seen what happened? If Itty turned around now she knew she would give up her chance of winning the race. But she also knew that if Wally was truly stuck, she had to help him. As she steered her cloud to turn around, other racers whipped past her. Most of them gave her confused looks, but kept going. Itty flew back and parked her cloud next to Willy's, careful not to get herself tangled in the branches. You look like you could use help, she said to Willy. Pat, pat. Willy didn't say anything, but Itty saw him nod. She reached over and gently patted Willy's cloud to let it know it had to move up and over to get free from the branches. It took a few moments, but soon Willy and his cloud were untangled. Are you okay? Itty asked. Willy nodded again. What happened? Was it the boosters? Did they make your speed up by mistake? Willy finally looked up. He looked embarrassed. No, I didn't use boosters. I thought about it, and I knew you were right that using them would be cheating. Itty didn't understand. So you accidentally went around the curve too fast? Now Willy looked even more embarrassed. No, it wasn't an accident. I knew Mr. Feathers said to slow down when going around a curve, but I just really wanted to win, so I sped up instead. Itty nodded. Well, I'm glad you didn't get hurt. It was really nice of you to stop and help me, Willy said. But now you've ruined your chance of winning the race. Itty shrugged. I think I need a little more practice anyway. There's always next year. As Itty and Willy made their way back to the track, they heard cheering in the distance. The race was over, but who had won? Chapter 10. And the winner is... Well, should we finish the race? Itty asked Willy. Willy grinned. Let's do it. Itty and Willy sped off together. Willy was racing much more carefully now. He slowed down for the next curve. He and Itty were neck and neck as they approached the finish line. As she crossed the finish line, Itty saw glitter everywhere, and that glitter could only mean one thing. Luna, did you win? Itty cried as she spotted her best friend in the winner's circle. Itty ran over and pulled Itty in for a hug. Yes, Luna exclaimed. Can you believe it? Of course I can, Itty laughed as bits of glitter landed on her nose. Hold on, guys. You practiced so hard and you're natural. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations, Luna, Willy added. Just then, Mr. Feathers came over and placed a wing around Luna's shoulders. It's time for the awards
Awards?
Ceremony. He said, steering Luna toward the stage where a group of art fairies dressed in berets and smocks stood. They were holding something covered with a silky trap. One of the fairies pulled the tarp off to reveal Luna's prize, a beautiful glittering miniature sculpture of a unicorn that looked just like Luna, bracing on a fluffy cloud. Wow, the art fairies whipped that up quickly. Itty murmured. She watched happily as Luna's fans surrounded her. Thanks again for helping me, Willie said shyly. Next time I'll follow all the rules. Itty smiled. Well, I don't think this is a rule, but I do think we're supposed to be celebrating right now, she said. And together, she and Willie joined Luna, Cheaper, Esme, and the rest of the racers in a big cloudburst celebration.
Is that the end?
Yep.
Oh, do you want to ask people to subscribe and say thank you?
Everyone, please subscribe. Bye.